Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is. Kartmeister Klotz and Racer Randy back in the garage working on my GT40 kit car. It's a race car replicas kit car, and today I'm going to be talking about my LS7 heads. So the LS7 has a reputation of dropping valves and grenading the engine. And my C6 Corvette at 25,000 miles, the valve guides were shot, and I had the repair done, and I'm checking it out on this engine now. So stick around, and we'll show you what we got. All right, I already did the other head, and I've just got one left. I've been happy with all the others, meaning that the wear is acceptable. I'm doing the basically GM called it the wiggle test, and trying to feel for wear. It's hard to catch in camera, but there is a little wear. But it's not like that one was at 25,000. So this is a 62,000 mile motor. I don't know the history. It could have already been done at GM. And GM claims it was a limited number of engines that the valve guides were not machine concentric to the seat, meaning that the valve was going in at an angle and causing greater side loads to the guides. So when the guides get worn, it allows the valve to flop around, and then that two-piece hollow stemmed exhaust valve would break off, drop into your cylinder, and poof, you just grenaded the engine. So anyway, we'll just do this last one here. You guys can watch. I already loosened it up and so I can remove the rockers. Interestingly, the LS7 uses two different style rockers. This one is offset. So the intake is offset a little bit. So I use a dead blow hammer to kind of unseat the valve keepers from the valve. And we hook up the air. I use compressed air to hold the valves up. Well, before I do that, I'm going to put my tool on that actually compresses the... Randy's got it right here. This is a comp cam tool. Works pretty good. It's pretty easy to use. Should go into there. I can lift it up.
Oh, you're good.
I already have a old spark plug that I put a hose nozzle, a Schrader or a air chuck, so I can pressurize the cylinder. I'm set up here, so I run the valves down, or I run the springs down. You don't have to run them down too far. So a magnet. I get both the valve keepers out. They both look good. The intake valve has a lash cap being that it's a titanium valve, they put a little cap on there to protect the titanium valve. It looks good. And then there's the exact same keepers. They're looking good. So the air is holding the valves up, so I can take this tool off. Got this one. Valve springs are the same. They're sort of the beehive. They do the beehive to cancel out the resonance in the valves, in the spring, because they're different, all the coils are different diameters. And what I've been doing is the air is holding up the valves now, but I just take some electrical tape and wrap it around the valve. So now the valves can't drop. And now we can check the clearance. And they're all about exactly the same. So on my my Corvette here, the exhaust valves were worn considerably more than the intake. And these all feel the same. So General Motors actually had a service bulletin, and they called for the wiggle test. And I do have a dial indicator. It's very hard to get it in there, and you can only hit the top of the valve stem, and then there's some trig you have to do to figure the distance to actually know how much the clearance is. But being that these all feel the same, I'm happy with it. So I'm going to put the head back together again, and at some point I'd like to get the engine rebuilt, but right now I'm focused on getting the engine in the car, and I'm confident that I'm not going to drop any valves. Like I said, this engine over here, 2009, I had considerably more wear on the exhaust valves. And so I removed the heads and had a machine shop put in molybdenum bronze guides. Chevy puts in a powdered metal guide. So thumbs up, good heads, and we'll be putting it together, probably do that off camera. So that's one last thing I have to do. Yay! Yay! Some of you guys are probably wondering, why did I pick the LS7? Why not the LS3 or any of the other LSs? Good question. It's a 427 cubic inch or 7 liter all aluminum small block engine. It revs to 7,100 RPM. It makes 505 horsepower and 480 foot-pounds of torque. It's a torque monster. It's got torque at about 2,000 RPM. It's already at 400 foot-pounds of torque. So the bottom end of the engine, it has a forged crank. It has titanium H-beam connecting rods for lightweight. It has 6-bolt billet steel main bearing caps. So it's got a very solid bottom end. I believe the real magic of the engine is in the heads. The heads are aluminum. They're fully CNC ported. The intake, the exhaust, the combustion chamber, it flows a lot of air. They're a special head. They're a square port intake. They're not the rectangular port on the LS3 or the cathedral port that the other LS's engines have. It has a dedicated intake manifold for it, and it really flows a lot of air. It has big valves. The intake valves are 2.2 inches in diameter, and they're titanium. The exhaust valves are a 1.6 inch, and they're hollow stemmed sodium filled valve. Very lightweight. It's a high compression engine, 11:1 compression ratio. The heads have a 70 cc chamber, helping it get that 11:1 compression. It also has a big cam with 593-inch lift, and it uses 1.8:1 rockers versus the rest of the LS family uses 1.7:1 rockers. The problem, as I see it, the cylinder heads with the big valves and the high RPM and 593-inch lift and 1.8:1 rockers, it's putting a lot of side load on the valve guides, causing the guides to wear prematurely. With worn guides, the valves can move around a lot. The exhaust valve is the weakest link. It's a 2-piece sodium-filled valve, and the head of the valve can break off, falling into the combustion chamber, and you grenade your motor. So that's why I've done this check. I know there's what I think is normal wear, and I'll show you what GM says. I've got their service manual here, and I'm feeling good about the heads on this engine. So that's the end of the video for today, guys. I'll be sharing some pictures from the Corvette that I did, same engine, and I'll have the GM references to look at. And thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, let me know. And as always, Kurbmeister Klotz saying, keep the shiny side up and your nuts tight.